Hey everybody, if you're questioning how windy it is today, yes. Today I want to talk about speed limiters. I'm sure you've heard about the fact that cars are now mandatorily fitted with a speed assist system, otherwise known as ISA, Intelligent Speed Assist or Assistant. And basically it is a speed limiter, not in the sense that it actually stops you from speeding. It just highlights the fact that you are and gives you lots of warnings. And as I say, this is something which is a mandatory being put in, even though this was a law created, to my understanding, after we left the EU. We've still took those laws on board, as I suspected we always would. So yeah, these speed limiters are now fitted to cars. And to my understanding, the way that these systems work is they use a combination of GPS to know where the car is and know what the speed limit of that road is, but also cameras on board to read signs so it knows how fast the posted sign is. Now, I was saying, it doesn't actually stop you from speeding. All it's doing is really highlighting to you that you are speeding. And the longer that goes on, depending on what system you have in your car, it could start out with a little flashing light on your dash, then it can go to like a little audible warning, and then it could even end up with some vibrations and stuff on your steering wheel to warn you that you are continuing to speed, and then eventually it'll all turn off. Now, as I say, it doesn't stop you speeding, but what it is going to do is, if you are caught speeding, or you argue that you weren't speeding, or something along those lines, it's going to be very easy for the police to be able to prosecute you. And also, if you're caught speeding, you know, it's hard to say, well, I didn't realise I was doing the speed, officer, when your car's been blaring at you for the past 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, saying you're going well over the speed limit. One of the issues that come up is if you're driving your car, for instance, in a 30-mile-an-hour zone with the car in cruise control, and the car sees a 30-mile-an-hour sign and for some strange reason goes, does that say 70? It then automatically will speed up to 70 miles an hour because it believes it's allowed to. This has happened with some Mercedes, I believe. Obviously, if you're in the car, you realise this is about to happen, so, well, you realise it's happening, and you can just tap the brake and it's going to stop it doing it and get you out of cruise control. But point is, it's pretty dodgy, because the faster the vehicle is that you have, depending on how it's programmed, how quickly could it get from, you know, say 30 up to 70 if it got confused. And this is where I'm getting onto motorcycles. This isn't something that's been suggested for motorcycles yet. Now, of course, I think it's coming somehow, but I do actually think there is a reason why they weren't included, because I think it's technologically not possible currently. Sure, a car is a stable platform, it doesn't lean side to side too much, things like that. You can have cameras mounted on it, so the camera sign reading systems, as it were, are pretty much always seeing the street signs from the same angle. On a motorcycle, you're getting things at all sorts of angles, depending on how you're leaning the bike in a corner or what. And also, how do you, and this is one of the parts of the requirements of this legislation, is that there is a warning in the driver's field of view. So if you're in a car, be on the dash or on a heads-up display if you've got like a Tesla with a centralised dash. In fact, Tesla's one of the people who kicked off about this, because they were like, but our dash is in the middle. How do you have a display in the field of view of a motorcyclist so they can see it? It's not the dash. The dash is not designed to be looked at on a motorcycle that much. That's why it's all the way down there. Or on other bikes it's a bit further in front of you, but we call them idiot dials for a reason. You cannot be sat looking at your dashboard on a motorcycle. Now, equally, I don't like the idea of being mandatorily told I have to have a GPS tracking device on my bike. If I have one of those on my bike, I wish that to be my tracking device, the one that I have all access to and no one else does. You know, because it's not a huge mental leap to think that, well, if it's got the GPS data to know how fast you are going and where you are, that they couldn't just automatically fine you in your car without any cameras or anything, just using the evidence of the car itself. Now, that is a bit, it could even be classed as scaremongering, but it's technologically possible, and I wouldn't put it past them. Thankfully, these speed limiters don't actually stop you speeding. Like, they don't physically stop. Because you may be in a situation where maybe you're at 70, you'll see something happen, and you're like, I need to get around this, and you need to pin it for a second. It's not going to stop you doing that. As I say, all it's going to do is help supply some really damning evidence should you be caught for speeding for a reason that you shouldn't have been. And obviously you cannot have a speed limit on a motorcycle which affects the power delivery, because you could be mid-corner and it's like, oh no, you're going the speed limit, and then, well, what now? It's obviously from that perspective, riding a motorcycle, the risk to the rider of having anything interrupt it is just, and for car drivers, that's why they haven't gone down that road. And so the reason it's not appeared on motorcycles is not because they're being lenient towards them or anything like that, I don't think. I think it simply comes down to the fact that you, unless you have like a stick that sits up here in the middle of your view with a little LED on it to warn you that you're speeding, you're not going to know. You know, audio warnings from the bike, you are speeding, are not going to get heard. And even bar vibrations, you're not going to feel. You know, it's weird, if you think about it, it's almost like they're trying to completely nullify the argument of, oh, I didn't realise I was speeding, even though that's no defence. It's almost like they just want to make it so unquestionable that you were speeding that they're just going to do you. What are your thoughts on these speed limiters for cars and the idea that maybe they will come to motorcycles? As I say, it's not happened yet, and it would be quite normal for me to say, well, it's just, you know, it's going to happen, it's going to come. But I do think there is a technological difficulty in there with the fact that they're going to have to use cameras and GPSs, and it's going to have to be able to do it in a very different way to the way it was developed for cars. If you've heard any more or anything factually, then do whack that down in the comments. If you know about anything about these systems as to why they wouldn't work on a motorcycle, again, comments below. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button, and if you would like the fact that this video didn't have 3.5 minutes of Raid Shadow Legends or some scammy ad selling you some scammy thing, then please support this channel through Patreon, links in the description, and there are many benefits to that. Right, until the next one, bye bye.